Okay, so hello YouTube. Now, when it comes to talking about Axpona, I've been slacking. I just have not gotten around to making this first impressions of Axpona, my first visit there video, honestly, I haven't even looked at the recordings that I made while I was there. Just been behind. So all of a sudden now I said, let me just make a quick video because for me, the most um, impressionable experiences that I had at Expona had nothing to do with gear or music, honestly. It was mostly about, the experience of being there and honestly of the people I met while I was there. It kind of reminds me of the things that Youth Man talks about, Michael Stevens, so much is that it's about the people that have like passions that experience the things that you experience and or just experience things different from you, but you get to learn and interact with them. It's the most important thing. I met several people that left an impression on me more than the gear or the equipment or the music or even being in Chicago, honestly, for my first time. But I want to start at the end before I get into the actual thing about Exponent because part of the reason why I've been delayed in just talking about this and making this video is because on the flight back, getting back home, getting in the car and driving down the highway to come back home, and I'm driving my wife's car, mind you. She's in the passenger seat, and um, I had the navigation on, just try to get from the airport because I could never remember how to get home, how to get out of the airport area. But anyway, had the navigation, and I wanted to see where which direction the navigation was taking me, and so that I knew where I was and I could just turn it off. So I glanced down at the navigation, and then the next thing I know, I had there was this big bump, this big hit, and then I looked up, I saw a face go past me. So basically, we hit a deer just on the left front bumper. It just kind of it should have careened directly through the windshield and into my face, but it didn't. Thank the Lord. Hit it. It flew off the car. We never even slowed down. We kept moving. I let go of the wheel to see if the wheel was out of alignment, if we had any kind of problems in the driving functions. I felt nothing. Everything was stable. I didn't stop. I'm like, it's old dog 30. It was after midnight getting off the plane, and I'm ready to go home. We're in the back road. Well, not the back road, but we were in a very isolated part of the highway with no one, zero cars around. I'm like, I'm not stopping. It's almost 1 in the morning. I want to get home. Kept going. Got home, pulled in the garage, and my wife was silent the whole trip. Got out the car, walked around, looked at the bumper. She threw up her hands. Oh, the left front bumper was just up in the air and bent, but the car was still functioning. Just close, a little bit closer to the tire, not touching, not revving, but like an inch to spare with the bumper being pushed back. So the car is in the shop right now, as a matter of fact. And funny thing is, it hit right on the part where we already had a little bit of a damage from a previous bump where my daughter backed into my wife's car. So it hit right in that same exact spot. It's in the shop now. It's getting repaired. We're probably gonna have to replace the whole bumper. Um, so anyway, that was the end of the trip. And then after coming home, I just spent a lot of time just working on my listening room, which was the sort of the reason going there, getting some experiences, getting some motivation, some guides, and yeah, my listening room just about done. A few more tweaks and things, and it actually sounds great. But anyway, that's enough about that. That's kind of what happened. That's what's happened since. But let's go back to Exponent. I only went got a pass for the Friday night only. I only went Friday because my wife was with me. I said we're gonna do one day of Axpona, and the rest 2 3 days we're gonna spend, um, exploring Chicago because we've never been there. And we spent so Friday was my Axpona day. I ran all over the place. The one thing that I regret that I did not get to do that I primarily wanted to do was do an audition of the Advanced Paris receiver, AVR, no, not AVR, but receiver. And by the time I got to that room, it was the last thing I was trying to do. When I got to that room, the day was over and that door was locked, so I didn't even get to listen to it. And it's probably a good thing because, you know, it's unnecessary. But anyway, I say it's unnecessary because I'm still using my vintage Technics receiver and 5 disc changer and my Technics turntable, and they work so well together. And I've listened to music for the last couple of days, and I'm like, I really don't need anything new. It sounds amazing. So on that note, one of the first things I went into was the PS Audio Room. You know, and they had new subwoofers. I didn't even know they had subwoofers in the lineup. So there's new subwoofers. They had two dual stacks paired up with the FRS 20, I believe. Not the 30, not the 10, but the 20, I believe it was. And it sounded pretty good. Honestly, the subs were a little boomy. And I asked people around the room, and they kind of agree with me. It's a little boomy. But while I was there, I was given a sample of the Octave Records sampler CD of some of their artists. They have their own record production, and gave the sample out free. And I have been listening to it. I listened to it yesterday, and I'm going to tell you what, it's pretty good. But I tell you what, this last track, number 8, is called Bulldog. If you got one of these, or if you can get one of these, I'm tell you what, that Bulldog is a percussion drum based track. I was just listening to it casually, and all of a sudden that that track came on, and it filled the room. My speakers were like, there's a drums there's a team of drummers in my room. It was really quite good. I was like, oh, this is good. I turned it up a little bit because I'm getting to that drum sound. Like Tool was my track. That chocolate chip trip. Um, that's my reference track if I want to see if a speaker actually sounds good. And I played that too in my listening room. Sounds the best of it. Better than I've heard it in any other show. Better than I've heard it in the show. Even on the Sonus Faber Sonetto V version 3, VA version 5 version 3, version 8. Anyway, Sonus Faber, that's one of my favorites out of the shows. Listening to that particular track, I think it sounds even better than that on my La Scala. So I'm like, this is great. So if you have one of those, check out that track number 8. If you haven't opened it yet, it's actually a really good CD. Anyway, so that happened. That was one of the first things. Now, like I've said, out of the show, the best part was I met some people. I met a man. Name was Robert, and he was sitting on the floor, and he had a pair of focal headphones on, plugged into a Hi-Fi Rose system, a Hi-Fi Rose streamer, and I watched him. While he was sitting there, I went to talk to another gentleman who was there in the room, and there was this new speaker I'd never seen before, and it was the Andrew Jones speaker with his new company, the Soretto Jones Company, and he's made this new speaker called the Troubadour. I'm like, what is this? I've never seen this. I'm checking that out. The guy's telling me about it. Meanwhile, Robert is still sitting on the floor listening to this focal headphones and this thing. And I talked to the man. I can't think of his name. Guy with long hair, really nice guy. But anyway, I went up to Robert. I said, hey, um, what were you doing, and what do you think about what you experienced sitting on the floor listening with the headphones? And we talked probably about 30 minutes or more, and it was really refreshing. It was just a guy in the room, and I stopped him and started talking to him. He showed me his system. He's got some magical S3s. He's got an open reel. He lives in California, I believe he said. We actually exchanged numbers. He said, "If you ever out there," and come to find out, he's retired Army like me. We had a nice long discussion. He talked about how nobody really cares about this hobby like we do, but he enjoys it. He's retired now, and he gets to enjoy it. He's got a millionaire friend who is like, when he's done with his stuff, he'll sell it to him for a reduced price. Like, you know, that whole idea of a community of people who enjoy something and we get to share with each other. Nobody else understands it, but he showed me a picture of his system. He even said, "Hey, if you're out here, come call, give me a call. Come on." I said, "I'd love to see your system, man. I would love to." So it was a really nice. But that was like the first real um, hour or so of being there. That first experience of just meeting a guy, just talking about systems, just talking about um, this passion and this hobby that we have. And it was a really nice experience. I mean, he could have said, "Hey, man, leave me alone. I'm just here to do my thing," but he took the time to talk with me. We interacted, and we had a really good conversation, and we found common ground. Just two strangers, far from home, talking about your systems, and that's kind of what it is. That's what this is about. It's people enjoying, you know, this hobby and sharing it with each other. Nobody else quite understands. He said, my daughter, she doesn't understand. She doesn't care about this, and it resonated with me. So anyway, that was one of the first experiences. The next person I met was Ed and this is a YouTuber. He has a channel, the old guy Hi-Fi. And I'd watched his videos before. I didn't recognize him. He's really tall. But I recognized him, and he had the system in the basement. And his subwoofer used to be in a cut in the wall, and now it's out now, and I've changed systems. Anyway, we talked, and I met him right after coming out of the Lave room, LAIV. Let me tell you what, that room super impressed me. I was in there. I was thinking, okay, and because all of the systems were like, they had one system that was like kind of expensive, like 4,000, but everything else was like below $1,000. And the system they were actually playing was two mono block amplifiers and a simple receiver, little teeny thing, and each of the three pieces were less than $1,000. And I'm thinking, oh, this is great. I'm thinking how maybe this is what I need, kind of thing. And then when I walked out of the room, Ed was standing at the thing, and I said something, and he was like, "Well, yeah, they're using my DAC in there." So he's from Chicago apparently, and he's interacted with the people who sell this product, who built this product. And he was saying, "Yeah, that's my DAC that's in there," and we started talking, and it had a lot of interaction, and he really started talking, about his experience with them, and I looked, told him about. He showed me a site. Said, "Hey, I know this. I know this room. I know this system," and we had a lot of interactions. Later on, I went into the Western Electric room, and the guy there, Charles Whitener, is actually the president and CEO of Western Electric. At the time, I mean, I kind of recognized, but I didn't know who he was. And I was talking to him, and I said, "Is this yours?" He said, "Yeah, all of this is mine." He's a very animated kind of, um, uh, to the fact, kind of guy. Anyway, I was super. I've always wanted to hear the 91E, because I feel like that's for me, for my system, that would be the ultimate receiver to have. I could put that with my scholars. I'd be done forever. And he had his Western Electric giant size speakers, and he had these giant, I think it was 160B or something, monoblock amplifiers with the two about like a foot tall on each, and then the 91E. And it was in a very small room. So that was my question. Playing something this big in a small room, is that, would that be? He said, "Well, how do you think it sounds?" "Oh, it sounds great." And my room is a small room. My listening room is basically a closet and a big closet, fairly big closet, and but it's a closet, and it sounds great. I can't turn it up very loud, but it sounds great. The scholars need a bigger room, but they work really well and they sound really good. I'm still doing some tweaks, but anyway, that experience made me think about it. But then I was after listening to the 91E and the fact that they've changed the price. They've locked. They're no longer selling through dealers anymore because Charles is unhappy with the way dealers do mock-ups, and the price is locked in at like $7,900 now for the 91E, where it used to be $11,000, $15,000. Oh my God. I started thinking, trying to do the math. Oh my! Now I'm like enthralled with this idea of getting 91Es. And I came out the room, and Ed from Old Guy Hi-Fi was standing there, and I mentioned to him. He says, "No, no, no, no. You want the Vance Paris. That's my reference system. That's what's gonna work with your system better. You want the Vance Paris." So we went back and forth with that for a while, and then talking to the there was an intern. I can't think of his name right now, and one of the guys that is the guy when you call to buy a set, he's the guy who answers the phone, and we were talking, and come I kind of pushed Ed into saying, "Hey, why don't you get a review system and do? Have you done a review on this system yet?" So he talked with them. They made this big discussion. He said, "I'm gonna put you in the queue. Gonna get you a couple." I said, "Ed, I'm looking forward to your review of the system to see what you really think based on your opinion about Advanced Paris versus this." And they're completely different systems, of course. Advanced Paris being hybrid, and this being a fully single-ended tube 300B system. Anyway, that happened. So I'm looking forward to see what it does with that. Um, and I kind of interacted with other people. But then when the weekend was over and I got to the airport, and my wife and I, when we went, got to our gate, sat down, and I looked over to my right, and I saw someone I recognized, and I wasn't sure. And I looked up, I said, "Jay?" So Jay Ayagi, YouTube fame, was sitting right next to us. And I'm looking at my I said, "This guy's a legend." And he looked at me and he laughed. And my wife moved out the way because she knew this was going to be a conversation. So I sat down next to him. And wow, we talked maybe more than half an hour. And he was so gracious. He didn't say, like, "I ain't got time." He was sitting there waiting for his flight to go back home to Canada and everything. And we just started talking. He told me what he was working on. He told me what he's got at home. He talked about this guy's a scientist. I knew he was an audio scientist. He's actually doing a study in one of the universities in Canada, and talked about his trip to Japan, going and seeing the TAD and the I can't think of the name of the system now, but go check his page. He just did a video on it not long ago. His trip to Japan, and it was just a really nice interaction, really nice conversation, and we talked for a long time. He was kind, he was gracious. He listened to me, I listened to him. We had true interactions. I learned some things in that little short time. He was like, "Hey, did you know such and such?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I didn't know that." And just really forthcoming. So my I saw a lot of systems. I saw the big giant subwoofer they had out in the lobby on, I think, the top floor. I listened. I spoke. Oh, it's another person I spoke to. I spoke to Sherry, who is the wife of Val from Acora Acoustics. Acora, if you don't know, and I know you don't know, but Acora speakers are my all-time. If money were no object, and the pain in my back, and the fact that my system, if I could put it downstairs in the living room, Acora speakers are my top tier, best in class. I think, if other than going to NBL or something, but top tier, best in class. If you can have the space and your floors can sustain a 400-pound speaker, the Coras, I think, are the best sounding, best looking speakers sold. Period. End of story. If you can afford it, and if you got the space for it, and you got a floor that's strong enough to hold that kind of weight, they sound amazing. But anyway, the point was, I was speaking to Sherry, the wife of Val, and she's telling me how, you know, what her part is in acquiring the right stones and the materials, and there. And then when I was talking to Jay, he also mentioned them because they're all from Canada about their ceramic speakers, and that's why the grill is on it. You can't touch it. And the stone that he was in stonework before he was in speakers, so it was a good transition just to bring these materials together. And it's that solid stone that makes these speakers so stable and so clear and so crisp. I remember at Audio Fest listening to them for the first time, and they were playing the Pink Panther on a vinyl on I think a VPI turntable or whatnot, and mind blown. I'm like, these are the best sounding speakers I've ever heard. But the top tier were $213,000 for a pair. But the MRC3, I believe, is one I was looking at, and there may be more now, but at the time I was looking, it's only 12 grand a pair. I say only, like that's easy money, but 12 grand for a pair of solid granite speakers. They still weigh a couple £100, and I could never get them up these stairs. But sound quality alone. But I was speaking with her, and again, she was just talking to me like she knew me, and it was a really nice interaction. Oh, and lastly, just as the day was over, and I was sitting outside waiting for my wife to come and pick me back up because she was out doing her thing, and she's like, "Bye." I had wanted to see Jason, the audiophile junkie, because I saw him at Capella Fest. I didn't speak to him because I was just like the guy from Analog. What's it called? Anyway, another YouTuber. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of anything right now. The Nation of Analog. Anyway, he was saying, when you see me at these shows, don't just stare, speak. We're just people. So this time when I saw Jason, I was actually just waiting outside the hotel, and him and his crew pulled up, and he was standing right next to me. I said, "Hey, Jason." He looked over at me, and I said, "Hey," and they were about to get in the car, and I said, "Hey, I saw you at Capitol Fest, but I was speak. I was afraid." He said, "Oh, never be afraid. Never be afraid. It's okay." So really nice. It was a quick interaction. I wish I had more time to actually talk to him and speak to him, because that would have been great, because his videos, they're so fun. He just like, it looks like he's having fun all the time, and he goes to people's houses. He sees these systems that are beyond, the average, systems that are way beyond, and even the system that he's selling, they're not common everyday things. It's things that you can't just go to Best Buy and get or order online. They're very high end. Just like Jay's Audio Lab. I didn't see him this year, and I've been watching his new listening rooms that he's building and the things that he's doing. And of course, he always goes big. He does nothing small. Everything is hundreds of thousands of dollars. The cables are hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're not gonna. The average person like me is never going to be able to afford that kind of. And even if I could, my wife wouldn't let me buy it. Wouldn't let me spend money like that on those things. So anyway, my impressions of Axpona was, and again, I only went to one day, and the first thing I actually did, either after PS Audio, was I went into one session with Michael Fremer and them talking about getting more out of your turntable. And it's funny to me because these guys are always talking about how there's more to hear, and there's more you can get out of your turn. There's more out of your system. You got hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of his system. He's got $300,000 turntable. $800,000 speakers, and wired the cables, thousands of dollars. All of this excess to get more out of your system, and it's great. And I'm not, denying it or, looking down on any of that stuff. If you can do it, great, wonderful. But the reality is, I can't hear anything above 11K anyway. That's what I was talking to Sherry about. Sherry from Akora. I can't hear anything above 11,000 anyway. She was like, "Yeah, women hear better." Because I was telling my wife and my daughter, they hear these things, and I never hear it. So yeah, women hear higher pitched so they can hear, children, when they're crying. Anyway, that was one of the things she had said. And just listening to them, a whole panel, people talking about all these different things about tone arms and about the different turntables and about isolation and all these different things. And it's well and good. But if my ears don't hear so well, then all of that tweaking makes much of no difference. Which takes me back to the first conversation I had with Robert. Robert was wearing hearing aids, and he said, because I asked him about the case, he said, yeah. He says, but the reality, and I was telling him the same thing. I can't hear anything about 11K. He says, well, I'm at an age now where I'm using hearing aids, and I can hear everything now. And he almost made me feel like, shoot, I need hearing aids, and I can hear my music better. Then I can hear all that stuff that's missing from the grooves in the record that Michael Furman keeps talking about. Maybe that's the secret for him. He's an older guy. Maybe he's using hearing aids as well. So it's kind of full circle for me. That whole experience, and it was only one day. I didn't go to the second and third days. And honestly, it just gets to be so much going up and down those floors. It's hot in one room, it's cold in another. You got to go up the stairs because everybody's waiting on the elevators. And there were a lot of systems that weren't in room, just in the hallways. And I almost feel like, why do I even pay to be at the show when I can just walk around this hotel and see things without even going into a room? But I want to support. I want to support the process. I want to support the efforts that these vendors and these manufacturers and these display personnel. It's a big deal. All of these people are here to promote this hobby and the quality of music and the quality of sound and the quality of just having a reason to come together, honestly. So, long story short, I'm talking a lot. Long story short, it was a great experience. I only did it that one day. If you haven't been, you should go. Period. Bottom line. If you haven't been, you should go. If for no other reason, is you get to interact with other people who are experiencing or either are experiencing or want to experience, the ultimate in systems and sound and quality and then just exploring the depths of, being able to play your favorite song, listen to music, to hear what's not easily heard, you know, everybody's got a phone in their pocket with some earbuds or Bluetooth and sitting and listening. But for me, there is nothing like getting in which I just bought a nice comfortable chair. I just bought a chair for my listening room. It'll be here next week. I'm looking forward to that. But getting in my chair, picking up the remote, turning on my system, putting on my favorite song, and letting that flow through me. You can't get that from headphones. You can't get that from a doggone phone in your hand with the earbuds. But the sound of the music, filling the room, expanding into that space and coming through your body, hitting your ear, and the experience of the height, the space, the separation, the sound of the singers, like he's standing right there in front of you and singing your favorite song to you alone. If you're alone in the room, of course, it's better if you're not. Bring a friend in, bring your wife in, and actually be able to enjoy it together. That's an amazing thing. So anyway, that was my Axpona experience. I'm gonna upload the videos that I have, and try to put them, compile them and put them into a video, and post it soon, hopefully. One part of that is I did a lot of recording of Andrew Jones talking about his new speaker, the Troubadour. Really, really enjoyed that speaker as well. It's kind of big, about the size of a mini fridge, but it looks nice. It sounds incredible. The technology behind it is new and exciting. He does a lot of videos about that. I saw Jana. And then I just spoke to her. Hey, Jana. I was so excited to see Jana because you see people all the time on videos, but you don't think of them as real people. When you see them in real life, speaking of that, I also spoke to the people from, I saw Kevin Deal from Upscale Audio, and the the distributor who sells the Borson, because I hadn't heard Borson. Borson, oh, so that is right up there with the Accord. So amazing. I don't know what the Danish people are doing, but they had a new system called the SV. Both systems. I listened to the Borson. I forget which model it was. So amazing. Then I went to the next room and listened to SV, and was even just as good, if not better. And I'm like, again, you have to choose. You have to. It's like dating. You see it with a pretty girl. Next thing you see another pretty girl, and she looks prettier than the last pretty girl. You can't have them all. So systems, there were so many. There were just so many, and you got to just decide. So for me, again, coming back home, working in my room, using my vintage speakers and my vintage my vintage receiver and putting it together and tweaking my room, putting in some acoustic panels and putting down a nice rug and just, you know, I paired my scholars with a pair of micro SVS micro 3000 subwoofers, and had to really tweak and tweak and tweak, and then I got it right to a point where I think it sounds really good. And I was, it sounds so good. I'm gonna do a couple. I will do some videos for that. But the point was, yeah, I can look at these $1 million. The SV speakers were like $85,000. I'm never gonna buy that. Sound amazing. I could listen to them for days, but I'm never gonna buy it. But to come home, sit in my chair, sit in my room, listen to my gear, after seeing that and tweaking and working and talking to other people about do this and do that, giving you ideas, we work together. The best part of the whole thing was coming home and enjoying what you already have. Because it's yours. You bought it. You chose it. You liked it for some reason. And the fact is, that's generally good enough. Yeah, MBLs would be great. Accords would be great. The SVs would be great. The Borsons would be great. Vance Paris would be great. The Western Electric would be great. But what I have is actually quite good. With some regular Amazon basic wire. No $1,000 wire, no $1,000, no elevation, none of that, just music. And it sounds good. So, anyway, that's enough of me rambling. It was a good time. I'm glad I did it. It was a good weekend for me and my wife. We got to see Chicago, and it was really nice. So, anyway, listen to your system, enjoy what you have, love the people you love, and do the things you want to do because life is short. Anyway, thanks for watching, listening, and let me ramble on and on. All right. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you next time. Peace.